This is the oldest existing mosque in China. But we're not in the dry, dusty northwest regions like Xinjiang, where many of China's Muslim communities reside. We're in Quanzhou City in southeastern China, more than 3,000 kilometers from Xinjiang. The Qingjing Mosque was built in the early 11th century. Its minaret and roof have long gone, but the walls and pillars of the main prayer hall are still standing. To understand why this super ancient mosque is here, we need to look back at Quanzhou City's amazing history. This quiet city was in fact the most important seaport in China from the 9th to the 14th century. To give you a sense of just how famous it was, medieval explorer Marco Polo called it the Alexandria of the East. Arab explorer Ibn Battuta wrote this when he came here in 1346. When we had crossed the sea, the first city to which we came was Zaytun. The Arabs called this place Zaytun because back then locals planted a kind of red flower tree called citong in Chinese across the city. Foreign sailors who entered through ancient ports like this one were so impressed that they named the city after it. Now back to the quote. Its harbor is among the biggest in the world, or rather is the biggest. I have seen about 100 big junks there and innumerable little ones. The junks he was referring to are probably these. The remains of this commercial vessel were found in Quanzhou in the 1970s. It was built in the 13th century.
随船出土了大量的这些香料跟药物，说明呢这是一艘远航回来的海船。它所航行的地界呢，主要是东南亚地区以及南海地区。
Merchants in Quanzhou traded with others like Indians, Persians, Europeans, and Arabs. The city was so essential to China's foreign trade that imperial records from the time used Quanzhou as the 0 mile for distances between China and foreign countries, making it the starting point of the ancient maritime Silk Road. With the influx of goods came many cultures. This is an ancient Buddhist temple with Hindu decorations. These are Christian angels with oriental facial features. Here is a temple built by the ancient Solonians, and this temple hosts the world's only stone statue of Mani, the prophet of Manichaeism, a once thriving religion that has now faded away.
泉州海外交通史博物馆收藏有400余方的一个石刻，包括古基督教、印度教和伊斯兰教。数量最多的，并且最活跃的，当属当时的阿拉伯波斯人。
During the 13th century, the Arabs were influential in Quanzhou and often rich. At the time, the superintendent for foreign trade in the city was a Muslim. However, the heydays for the Arabs came to a violent end in the 14th century when the Yuan dynasty started passing anti-Muslim laws. As a result, the Muslims of Quanzhou started rebelling against Mongol Yuan rule. In 1366, the Mongols crushed that rebellion. Some historians argue that the Muslim immigrants who fled this persecution rose to prominent positions throughout Southeast Asia, spurring the development of Islam in places such as Java and elsewhere. But not all of them went. This hall of ancestor worship belongs to the local Ding family, who claim to be the descendants of Arabs who fled to this area on the coast of Quanzhou to avoid the violence of the rebellion.
丁氏为了在这边生活下去，所以呢，一开始他就长期的跟汉族的同胞通婚。
The people here are now known for their business savviness.
现在有1000多家企业都是从事鞋的行业，比如说安踏、特步啊、361啊等等。
These are among China's biggest shoe brands, and collectively they have over 20,000 stores across the country.
随着时代的变迁呢，现在大部分的陈代丁氏族人呢，都已经改变他们的生活方式，宗教信仰也各不相同。
Historically, Quanzhou's role as China's biggest seaport ended after the 14th century and soon fell into marginalized obscurity. But ironically, it was because of this relatively sudden decline that left many of the remains untouched for centuries and allowed for modern historians' analyses, including this, the oldest mosque in China.